Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Hampstead School District public hearing for January 14th, 2020. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Jason Giard.
Here.
Caitlin Parnell.
Here.
David Smith.
Here.
James Sweeney.
Here.
And Karen Yasenka.
Here.
Okay, thank you, board members, and Dr. Earl Metzler.
Here.
And Jeff Dowd.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to state for the public that we also have our district principals and directors in attendance tonight. Thank you.
Okay, if you'll please stand for the pledge. I guess either one. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our agenda for tonight will be Part 1, Introduction to the District and the Board. Part 2 will be the presentation of the warrant. Part 3 is public hearing on the budget. Part 4 is proposed union contracts, and Part 5 will be additional warrant articles. I do want to take a minute to introduce our board members and those also seated at the table with us tonight. Just going to go left to right. We have Jason Giard, board member. Karen Yasenka, vice chair. I am Caitlin Parnell, chair. Jim Sweeney, board member. David Smith, board member. Dr. Earl Metzler, superintendent of schools. Mr. Jeff Dowd, CFO, business administrator. And Melissa Post. Thank you. Next, we're going to go over the district profile. The Hampstead School District is located in Hampstead, New Hampshire, and includes two schools, Hampstead Central School and Hampstead Middle School. Currently, there are 858 students in grades pre-K through 8th grade. There are 433 students in grades 9 through 12 who are tuitioned to Pinkerton Academy in Derry. Pinkerton Academy is a public academy and the designated school of record for high school students in Hampstead. So the total number of students from Hampstead pre-K through 12 is 1,291 as of our October 1 totals. Our district governance, we start with the school board, who then works with the superintendent. The superintendent then has support through the SAU staff and also our executive director in Hampstead, who in turn is supported by the principals and the special education director. Those positions are then given support by our building staff and our regular staff. The mission statement is that the mission of the Hampstead School District is to provide challenging education experiences that prepare all students to succeed to their individual potential in a changing world. The school board goals that we set forth in the end of August for the 2019-2020 school year were to focus on 21st century learning, our FLES program, which is foreign language in elementary school, facility improvements, appreciation of diversity and inclusivity, a new strategic plan, focusing on the budget, student well-being, and then safety and security. Next, we'll move on to the presentation of the warrant. To the inhabitants of the school district of the town of Hampstead, New Hampshire, qualified to vote in district affairs. The first session of the annual meeting, which is our deliberative session, you are hereby notified to meet at the Hampstead Middle School, 28 School Street, Hampstead, New Hampshire, on Tuesday, the 4th day of February 2020 at 7 p.m. This session shall consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of warrant articles number 2 through 7. Warrant articles may be amended subject to the following limitations. A, warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. B, warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. And C, no warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. The second session of the annual meeting, which is our voting day, voting on warrant articles number 1 through 7 will be conducted by official ballot to be held in conjunction with town meeting voting to be held on Tuesday, the 10th day of March 2020 at the Hampstead Middle School, 28 School Street, Hampstead, New Hampshire. Polls will be open from 8 a.m. and will remain open until 8 p.m. Article 1 is the election of officers. That article is to choose the following school district officers. We have a school board member position for a 3-year term, a second school board member position for a 3-year term, our school district clerk, a 3-year term, and the school district moderator for a 3-year term. The filing period for these vacancies is January 22nd through January 31st, with the district clerk at the Hampstead Central School or at the superintendent's office. I would now like to open the public hearing on the budget. Article 2, operating budget. Shall the voters of the Hampstead School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant for the purposes set forth therein totaling $28,596,469. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $28,597,519, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the school district or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Please note the warrant article 2, the operating budget, does not include appropriations proposed under any other warrant articles. Majority vote required. Okay, as we go through the budget presentation, we're going to focus on the overview, looking at budget drivers and projected enrollment, budget changes by department, highlights of increases and decreases, staffing, the overall budget proposal, and then the default budget. Key budget drivers. If you can wait till the end, we'll have questions at the end of the public hearing for the budget. Okay? Once we're done with the budget presentation. Thank you very much. Key budget drivers are special education tuition, transportation and related services have increased due to changing student needs. Technology infrastructure projects are being continued in order to maintain a stable and safe network environment. Previously deferred facilities projects at both schools, and budgeted projected enrollments. We have right now projected Central School up 24, Middle School down 19, Pinkerton up 7, which gives us a total of plus 12 for enrollments this coming year. This is similar, but Central School, again, Central School is pre-K through 4th. We're projecting 497 students, giving us an increase of 24. Middle School, grades 5 through 8, we're projecting 366, with a difference of a decrease of 19. And Pinkerton has grades 9 through 12. We have projected enrollment there of 440 students, an increase of 7 students. You'll see there's an asterisk next to the projected for Pinkerton. That just represents some ungraded students that we may have. So district-wide total enrollment for the school year 2020 through 2021 is 1,303 students. Again, an increase of 12 students, it's approximately 1%. Okay, looking at budget drivers for each of the schools, major increases for Central School come from library new equipment at $10,000, elementary education textbooks at $9,300, new equipment in the nursing office, $3,840, new equipment for music, $2,000. Our major decreases for that school are not needing some new equipment for science that was purchased last year, $4,370 decrease. So the current budget in this school year for Central School is $167,992. The proposed budget for Central School would be $194,110, and a change of $26,118 for Central School. Looking at middle school budget changes, the major increases there are new cafeteria tables at $6,200, copier lease, $5,700. The major decreases for middle school are reading textbooks, that's a decrease of $2,000. Science new equipment, that's a decrease of $2,760. So the current budget this school year for middle school is $167,155. The proposed budget is $181,557, and the change is $14,402. Curriculum budget changes. Major increases, we have curriculum development, $700, professional development training at $2,000. The current budget for curriculum is $31,100. We're looking at a proposed budget of $33,800, representing a change of $2,700. Moving on to the technology budget, the major increases there are wireless network replacement, that's $85,000. Computer lab, $23,800. Printers, $6,000. Chromebook carts, $4,800. Thought exchange is $15,000. And then the major decrease for the technology budget is Chromebook cycling. It's a decrease of $33,000. The current budget for technology for this school year is $242,710. The proposed budget would be $332,332, representing a change of $89,622. Special education budget changes, the increases we're seeing there for professional services, $35,704. Private school tuition, $398,000. Info access fees, $2,111. The major decreases for the special education budget are Pinkerton Academy para services. It's a decrease of $25,625. Speech supplies, a decrease of $280. And specialized transportation, we're seeing a decrease of $20,000. The current budget for special education for this school year, $3,079,731. Our proposed budget is $3,487,130, with a change of $407,399. Facilities budget changes. Major increases there are repair and maintenance increase at $81,000, heating oil increase $15,000, water and sewer at $3,300. The major decreases for facilities are custodial supplies, it's a decrease of $13,500. Plumbing and heating, a decrease of $9,000. Contracted services, a decrease of $400. The current budget for this school year for facilities is $788,001. The proposed budget is $864,449, representing a change of $76,448. Staffing budget changes. The staffing levels that we're projecting remain generally unchanged. We may have reassignments that occur based on final enrollment. We're looking at a 3% increase for non-union staff. All union staff costs are based on collective bargaining agreements. And this change does not include any changes to salary or benefits from HEA and HAS members. We'll be going over those warrant articles for the collective bargaining agreements a little later on. The salary changes we'd be seeing are $92,726, which represents a 0.94% increase. And the benefit changes would be $21,618 with a 0.39% increase. Continuing to look at district staffing, for this school year, 19-20, we have 191.34 full-time employees. For 2020-2021, we're looking at no change, so staying at 191.34. I do want to point out that in the Hampstead School District, we have 79% of our staff who have their master's or above. So we are very lucky with the staff that we have here. Okay, so those were the details. The overall budget proposal is $28,596,469. The current budget for this school year is $27,926,104. Again, I just read the proposed budget. The difference is $670,365. This increase represents a 2.4% increase year over year. This slide is just to break down where different percentages of our budgets go to. I'd like to point out that a lot of these there is not a lot of flexibility on. Our major drivers like salaries, benefits, and tuition, we really don't have a whole lot of flexibility. Those are agreed to prior to any of our budgeting going into place. This slide gives you what our budgeting trends have been like over the last 10 years. So looking at an average of 2.10%. The default budget, again, should the proposed budget be defeated, the default budget would be $28,597,519. There's a difference between the proposed and the default budget this year of $1,050. And I believe you do have default budget handout that you were able to pick up if anyone is looking for more information there. Are there any questions or comments on the budget? Yes, sir. No, it's up here. You can go right over here. Thank you.
Madam, excuse me, Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Joe Tabby. I live at 30 Charleston Ridge in Hampstead. 5.5 years ago, I got involved in the Central School project. Being a former member of the Budget Committee in Hampstead, and also the fact that the school department was looking to do a warrant article in the amount of $4 million anyways. I want to know what they were going to be doing $4 million worth of work for. So I visited the school, and I went to the school. Number one, I seen the portables, but thanks to Mr. Collins here, the portables are no longer being used by students. But also, I went into the school itself, and I was surprised to see how many students were being taught in a closet. A closet. Also, in a large room which partitions up, that's where the special ed IEP was being done. Just terrible. And also, I went to the 60 wing. And when I went into the room, I got a 3-page report, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to tell you the way it is, okay? All right. I went into the 60 room, and it was cold. It was cold. And I went over, and I touched the wall. It wasn't like it's going to be next few days. It was cold. And the wall was cold. And I said, why is that? Oh, that's a cinder block wall filled with whatever you call it, insulation solution. That's it. That's it. And that's to keep the room comfortable, good for the teaching of the children and the staff. Terrible. Then I questioned the air quality in the school. I read in the newspaper a few weeks ago that the school board voted to do something in 60 wing, and I was happy to see that. I'm happy to see something is being done. And then I heard recently that the school board changed their mind. They voted 2-2 not to do anything this year, which really, that's why I'm here. I hope that you would change your mind, put it in the budget next year, and do something. Use the existing reserve account, which will have no impact on the taxpayers. None. Use the existing money to do some work at the Central School. And I want to end with this. My interest is in also your interest, in the best interest of the students, the teachers, and the staff at the Central School. Any questions? None. Please, reverse it. You got a chance to vote. 2-2, reverse it. And vote to put it in the budget. You can't do it this year, I know. Put it next year. And again, to the taxpayers, this will have no impact. And if I'm wrong, correct me, if no impact on the tax rate. Am I wrong?
I just want to clarify, you're not wrong.
Thank you.
For part of it. We did look at the 60s wing by itself this year, and really what it came down to is we were really hoping to be able to do that, as you said, using capital reserve, and doing it without having to go to the town for additional money. Right now, we have about $750,000 in capital reserve. The quotes that we got back were that it was going to be about $2.1 million to do the 60s wing by itself. We did look at bringing that down a little bit by taking out some pieces, but we were still at about $1.7 million. And
Sorry, $2 million to put up insulation on the wall?
well, that part of the project was not just insulation on the walls, but it was replacing all the windows, because that's the other place it's coming in. It was doing new HVAC, because all of those systems are failing as well. So that's the number that we got back to do that.
Oh, I was looking for something. Put some insulation up. Let the room, I know you put in these heating things in the window and these air conditioning things in the window, but they're not good enough. Put some insulation up. Let's get some, look at the air quality, which I'm glad you're talking about the units on the roof. But do something. Put it in the budget. That's
Thank you.
it. Sorry.
No, none of what you said was wrong, besides just correcting that number. That was it.
Good evening. Jason Cipriano, I live on Laura Lane. Thank you, members of the board, Madam Chair and members of the board, for the work that goes into preparation of the budget, and I know it's having done it, I know that it's a lengthy effort, and a lot of consideration goes into it. Obviously, I think there'll be more discussion at the deliberative, but I share other concerns that have been raised regarding the renovation project and the concerns regarding lack of option to fund renovation and repair work. I have some questions on the budget. I note that the tuition of public academies to Pinkerton is down $88,000 this year, even though the the proposed budget, even though the number of students is up. Is that a result of decreasing tuition for Pinkerton?
I'm going to direct that to Mr. Dowd.
If I'm reading this correctly, the 1920 budget tuition to public academy. Sorry, I'm looking at line item 1100.563. The 1920 budget is 5.8,
Yes.
and the 2021 proposed is 5.7.
Sorry, okay, I thought you were referring to the special education reductions that
no,
we had.
no.
No, this is what our enrollment looks like, and based on the figures that we received from Pinkerton. So
Okay,
those should
so-
match our enrollment.
Okay. So decline, or reduction in tuition is a good thing, I guess. A question on the networking equipment, the increase in the networking equipment cost, is that for one school or for both schools? And I guess what I'm really asking is, if it's for one school, can we anticipate a similar increase in a year or two to follow for the other school?
That would be for the entire campus,
Okay.
both buildings.
Okay. Another question I have is, I noticed that the line item for legal services is unchanged, although obviously there's a withdrawal pending in our sister district in SAU 55, and I was just wondering if the board feels like that amount is adequate to cover us in the event that that plays out in a way that legal services are required. And I also mentioned that because if you go back a year prior to this year, we expended in excess of the $45,000 that we have budgeted. I just want to make sure that there's adequate funding in that line should it be needed.
That's a fair question. I think these lines are very difficult to predict at times, as you know. And I think as we're going along, some of our expenses are caught up in collective bargaining agreement negotiations, and we've gone through that cycle this year. So that certainly helps to take some of that budget burden off.
Yep.
So I think we'll be okay. If it goes over, we can certainly
Talking.
find the money. We can certainly find the money.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask, and I know that with regard to the budget, because that's the part of the hearing that we're on right now, as opposed to the other articles, and I know there'll be some discussion in terms of the capital reserve because it's a separate article. I just would like to hear, as we get into that, and then as it relates to this existing budget, how we are managing the projects that are in the queue already in terms of the capital reserve. And obviously, some of the discussion that was just had prior to me coming up here was a thought that some of the renovation and other projects would be funded through the capital reserve. My concern is we have a pretty healthy queue of projects slated for that capital reserve that are substantial and that for years we've talked about have been increasing in cost because they've been deferred so many times. Roofing, paving here at the middle school comes to mind, is a cost that we got to the point where we were told previously that they can't resurface. It actually has to be redone in its entirety because of the amount of times it's been deferred. So I look forward to, as we get into the capital reserve, perhaps some discussion around how we're going to handle those things, because I would hate to have us try to fund some of the renovation projects out of the capital reserve at the expense of projects we know where equipment's at end of life or even beyond end of life. So I would hate to put ourselves in a position where we're either tapping into emergency reserves or we're reallocating money out of other categories to pay for equipment that we're told already we know has to be replaced, but we put off because we're trying to do some other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the budget before we close the public hearing for the budget? Okay, at this point, we will close the hearing on the budget. Moving on to Part 4, proposed union contracts. And as a reminder, we're now in regular session. Okay, Article 3 on the warrant is the HEA-CBA. Shall the Hampstead School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hampstead School Board and the Hampstead Educators Association? Excuse me. I just hit the wrong button. Sorry. Between the Hampstead School Board and the Hampstead Educators Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. Year 1 of the agreement, $222,056. Year 2 of the agreement, $221,755. Year 3, $224,061. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $222,056 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and fringe benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Majority vote required. I would also like to go over some of the main points of this agreement that we're talking about now. Looking at the costs that I just listed, these increases reflect a 1.5% increase in the salary schedule. For staff who is considered on step, those members will move up 1 step each year. Staff members who are no longer on the salary schedule are considered off step, and these members will receive a 2.25% increase each year. Other significant revisions to the agreement, Article 11.3, professional workshop and conferences. If funds remain as of May 1st, members may request reimbursement at the cost of 1 additional workshop until May 15th. Any remaining funds will be distributed equally among the employees submitting requests, up to a maximum of an additional $300 per person. Article 14.1C, in regards to retirement incentive, this increases the number of members eligible for the retirement incentive from 5 to 6 members. A few other minor changes to the agreement. Article 3.7, this was just an article that will be removed because all information in it is covered by current HIPAA laws. Article 1.4, all changes to Hampstead policies will be forwarded to building principals for distribution to all staff in their buildings. Article 4, updates to the grievance language reflecting current level 5 arbitration and procedures. Article 4 is the HAS CBA. Shall the Hampstead School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hampstead School Board and the Hampstead Association of School Staff, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. Year 1, $65,435. Year 2, $55,841. Year 3, $55,841. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $65,435 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and fringe benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Majority vote required. Again, I'd like to talk to some of the main changes to the agreement. In regards to the wage schedule, these increases reflect an expansion of this wage schedule from 3 to 6 steps. This will enhance the district's ability to hire staff with experience by being able to offer a higher hourly rate based on experience. Current employees who are placed on the schedule receive a minimum of 55 cents an hour increase in year 1, and all employees who are off schedule receive a 55-cent an hour increase. For years 2 and 3, the schedule is increased by 15 cents each year, and employees on schedule advance 1 step for a total increase of 65 cents an hour each year. Employees who are off schedule receive an increase of 60 cents an hour each year. In addition, a new differential of 50 cents an hour was added for those paraeducators who work with students with intense needs as determined by the principal or director of special education. An additional differential of 25 cents an hour was added for any paraeducator who is certified as a registered behavior technician and is working with a student with intense behavioral needs. This will help the district attract and retain employees in these difficult-to-fill positions. A new provision was added to compensate paraeducators for covering a classroom for an absent teacher at the rate of $30 a day for a minimum of 2 hours or 2 school periods. Other significant revisions to the agreement are as follows. For sick day redemption, which is Article 8.1D, redemption of sick days for retiring employees was modified to require notice by March 1st of the year of retirement to increase the number of eligible employees from 4 to 6 in any given year, and then to allow 3 employees to rescind their notice. Article 9.3, the Hampstead Experience Incentive. This will be phased out for year-round employees who also qualify for vacation. Existing year-round employees will continue to receive the incentive, but employees hired after July 1st, 2020 will not be eligible. This will result in future savings for the district. In addition, a provision which disqualified any employee who used more than 5 unpaid leave days in a year was eliminated, as it was an administrative burden to try to track that information. Article 11, union dues deductions, was clarified to provide clear process for employees to rescind their authorization and stop deductions. Article 14, the discipline section was modified to allow a verbal warning to be followed by written documentation, including a brief statement of the specific improvement needed, and a provision was also added requiring employees to sign all disciplinary documentation. Okay, those are both of our collective bargaining warrant articles. Now we move on to Part 5, where we have some additional warrant articles. Article 5 is special meeting, authorization for special meeting on cost items. Shall the Hampstead School District, if Article 3 or Article 4 is defeated, authorize the Hampstead School Board to call a special meeting at its option to address Article 3 and/or Article 4 cost items only? Majority vote required. And just a note that you'll see up on the slide, if we don't have this article, the district has to petition the Superior Court for a special school district meeting. So this ultimately saves the district the expense of attorney fees and court costs. Article 6, capital reserve. Shall the voters of the Hampstead School District raise and appropriate up to $400,000 to be placed in the School Renovation, Reconstruction, and Capital Improvement Capital Reserve Fund established in 2006, with such amount to be transferred from the June 30th, 2020 unassigned fund balance surplus in excess of $150,000, majority vote required. So as explanation, the first $150,000 of surplus automatically goes back to the taxpayers. If we have an additional $400,000 in surplus, should this article pass, it would be placed in capital reserve, and then any additional surplus after that is also returned to the taxpayers. The funds from this article come from the 2019-20 school budget surplus, not from additional taxes. Article 7, acceptance of reports. Shall the Hampstead School District accept reports of agents, auditors, and committees as written in the 2019 annual report? Majority vote required for that as well. So as noticed, our deliberative session is on Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. It starts at 7 p.m. We'll also be here at the Hampstead Middle School, 28 School Street, Hampstead, New Hampshire. We are going to move to our special meeting to consider actions based on the public hearing. However, before we adjourn to do that, we'll take any questions on the other warrant articles that we just went over. So if there are any comments or questions on those other warrant articles, we'll take them now.
May I offer on the
Yes.
question that was asked by Mr. Cipriano. You had asked if our decrease in tuitions was due to declining enrollment or lower enrollment amount. Our enrollments from the current year are projected to be higher. The current budget year, we budgeted higher than what we thought we'd need. So going into next year, it's showing as a reduction. We just happen to have a lower enrollment this year than we had budgeted for. And so even though our enrollment's going up, projected to go up next year, it's still resulting in a net savings from budget perspective.
Any questions? Okay, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Public hearing is adjourned, and we are going to take a short break before moving into the special board meeting. I'd like to open this special meeting on January 14th, 2020 at 7:50 p.m. The purpose of this meeting is to take recommendation action on the budget and each of the warrant articles, with the exception of Article 1, which does not require a vote. Everyone has a copy of the 2020 warrant in your board packets. They're behind the agenda page, if you want to bring those up. Again, Article 1 is election of offices. No recommendation from the board is required to that. Moving to Article 2. I'll ask for a motion and then discussion before we vote. Can I have a motion to move Article 2, operating budget, to this year's warrant?
Motion.
Oh, wait. Not recommend or move? Recommend, excuse me, I misread that. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 2, operating budget, to this year's warrant?
Motion.
Thank you. I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on Article 2, operating budget? Okay, all in favor of recommending? Thank you. Moving on. For Article 3. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 3, collective bargaining agreement for the Hampstead Education Association?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? Article 3. Okay, all in favor of recommending? Thank you. Article 4. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 4, collective bargaining agreement for the Hampstead Association of School Staff?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of recommendation? Thank you. Article 5, can I have a motion to recommend authorization for special meeting on cost items?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of recommendation of Article 5? Okay, Article 6. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 6, Capital Reserve Fund?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this item? Yes, Karen?
Yeah, I'm not going to recommend this, the amount. The reason being that I believe that's $400,000 that will be sitting in a capital reserve fund, capital improvement fund, and I would rather see that money stay in the budget so that we can use it as needed for the current school year. In the past, we've always put in $125,000. I think that the board should consider doing that and keeping the 400,000 fluid, so that if we need it for something, we have it. We have other things, as Mr. Cipriano had said before, that are already lined up that need to be done, things that we've been putting off. So I think to try and save this money and have it build up, I don't think it's the best use of the $400,000, so I will not be recommending this.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of recommending Article 6, Capital Reserve Fund? Opposed? Thank you. Last is Article 7, General Acceptance of Reports. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 7, General Acceptance of Reports?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, unless there is anything else, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, we're adjourned.